Three. Our topic this half term is plants, and I'm going to go through some vocabulary with you so that you're aware of it before you start your lesson. So I'm going to go through some definitions of some of the words you're going to be looking at, and hopefully that will help you when your teacher asks you it in class. So we're looking at plants. So I know a lot of you know a lot of things about plants already. So you know about the roots and the stem. We're going to go through it a little bit more detail now, and you'll go through it in even more detail in your lesson. So let's have a look at some of our words. So you're going to be labeling a flower in one of your lessons, and you're going to be looking at what the parts of the flower does. Now, this doesn't look like a normal flower. What they've done in this picture is they've cut a flower in half. So this would be on the inside of the flower, and you've still got your petals on the outside here. So this is what the inside of a flower looks like. Now, I know that all flowers look different. Some of them, these sorts of parts here, these sections here, are easier to see than others. But we're going to look at this example in today's session so you can see the vocabulary in this. So I'm going to go through what each of the words are. So we've got an anther. So the anther produces the pollen. And this is this section here. So these little yellow bits at the end, they are called anthers. I'm going to go over the word again with you in a moment. I'm going to ask you to repeat it after me. So I'll say the word and I'll ask you to do it. I'm going to go through all of them first. Then we've got the filament. So the filament is this green long bit here. It's not always green on flowers, but in this one it is. And that supports and holds the anther. So the anther produces the pollen that's collected by bees and other insects. And the filament provides support to the anther. So it holds it up nice and clearly for them to see. And the anther and the filament together makes the stamen. So the stamen is the masculine part of the flower. And the anther and the filament together make up the stamen. The petal. Now, we should all know which one the petal is. The petal is this bit here. So they are the pretty petals that go around. Again, we're going to come on to that in a little bit more detail later on, but that's the petal. We've got the sepal. The sepal, it protects the flower before it opens, and that's this green bit down here. So if you imagine before the flowers open, it's like a bud, and around the petals that are in a bud is a sort of a green, or sometimes a different colour, but often it's green around the petals. And that's this bit here. So as it opens, it comes down, and that protects the rest of the flower. Okay, you've got a stigma. So stigma is this bit right at the top. So it looks a bit like the anther, but it's a little bit different. And the stigma is really sticky, and that collects pollen that's passing by. So because it's so sticky, pollen sticks to it and it collects it. And then you've got the style, which is this bit here, and that allows the pollen that's been collected and stuck on from the stigma to travel all the way down here to this middle bit here. So the style is that bit there. Then in here, we have got the ovary. So the ovary holds the eggs. This is the female part of the plant. So you've got the ovary here, and then the egg in the middle. There'll be more than one egg, but in this picture we've got one. It's called the ovule. So the ovule is the small egg that would grow into a seed. And the pistil is the name of what the female part is altogether. So with the stigma and the style and the ovary all together, that is the pistil. That's the female part of the plant. So that is how you would label a plant. They are the different words. I'm going to go through the words now, and I want you to repeat them after me. So, anther, anther, anther. Good. And the anther was this bit here, these yellow bits at the end here, and they produce the pollen. Filament, filament, filament. Good. The filament is this green long bit here, and it holds the anther all the way up, and it supports it. Stamen, stamen, stamen. Good. So stamen is the male part, the masculine part of the plant, and that is the anther, these yellow bits, and the filament together makes a stamen. Petal, petal, petal. Good. Petal's nice and easy. It's these bright bits on the outside, and the petal is bright and colourful, and that's to attract the pollinator. So it might attract the bees or the other insects that might pollinate the flower. It will attract them because they're attracted by bright, colourful things. Sepal. 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 Good. The sepal is this green bit down here. Remember, that protects the plant before it's managed to open up. Stigma. 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 Good. The stigma is a sticky bit at the top here, and that collects any pollen that's passing past it. So it might have blown past it, and it sticks to the stigma. And the pollen then moves down this bit here, and that bit down there is called the style. 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 Good. And it moves down the style into this bit here. Can you remember what that bit's called down here? It begins with an O. It's the ovary. Good. So this bit here is the ovary. 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 Good. And in this picture, we've only got one egg, but there would obviously be more than that. And in a plant, the egg is called the ovule. 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 Good. And then, so we've had the masculine part, so the female part of the plant is this bit up here, the stigma, and the style, and the ovary, and that is called the pistil. 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 Good. Now I have a look at a few more words that you will definitely have heard of in other year groups. So we've got the flower, leaves, root, stem, and there's two other words here that you might have heard of, but you might not have. I'm going to come on to those in a moment. So I'm going to start with flower. So flower, flower, flower. Good. So we've just said, so our petals, these bits around here, so the flower, which is the thing that we've just labelled, is the whole of this. And the flower has got all those parts we've just gone through together, and they are to attract the pollinator. So the petals are nice and bright to attract them. Now we've got our leaves, 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 leaves. Good. And our leaves are this part here, the big green parts here, and they absorb, so they take in all the sun energy, and they use it to help them with their food, to create food for the plant. So we really need to have sunlight for our plants, and the leaves absorb that sunlight and turn it into energy and food store that can be used by the plant to grow. Okay, now I've got root. Oh, can't put it down there because it's too dark. Root, root, root. Good. Root are these little tiny bits down here. Now, if you imagine, so a tree is obviously a plant, and the roots of a tree will be much, much bigger than the root of a flower like this. So this flower's got roots that are really, really spindly and really thin, and they hold the plant in place. So they hold it into the soil, and it also, the nutrients and the water that are in the soil, they go up through the roots, through the stem, to the flower and the rest of the plant as well. That's how that works. The stem is this part here, that's holding the flower up. So a bit like earlier on where the filament was holding the anther up, the stem holds the flower up. So stem, stem, stem. Good. And that holds the flower up on our flower. Now these two words are words that we might not have heard of before. This is the one here beginning with an X is called a xylem, and this one beginning with a P is called a phloem. So I'm going to start with the xylem first. Xylem, xylem, xylem. Good. And then here we've got a phloem, 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 phloem. Good. Now these are what the stem's made out of. So the stem here has got two separate sections of it. I know it's hard to imagine, but it's so thin, but it's got two things in it. Now the xylem takes the water and the minerals from the soil all the way up to the plants. So it goes through the roots, up the stem, and then it will take it to the leaves and take it to the flowers. You can see the blue arrows are going up, 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 up to the flower, to the leaves, different parts of the plant. So the phloem the xylem takes the water minerals just up the plants. The phloem can take mainly minerals around in different directions. So the phloem can take it down to the roots, up to the flower, along to the leaves. But you can see the orange arrows can go down and up. So the phloem can go in up and down direction, mainly minerals or the sunlight energy. And the water and the minerals from the soil is taken up by the xylem. So that's the difference between the two. So what we're going to do is I want you to try and learn some of those words, and you're going to use them in your science lessons next week. And then in a couple of weeks' time, you're going to also be looking at how seeds from the plant are shared and distributed across, so it can travel to different places. So some of them are by wind, for example, like a dandelion. When you blow those seeds, they travel by wind. You're going to learn different ways for that, and that's called seed dispersal. I'm going to do a different video for you for that. So good luck with learning all those words, and I'm really looking forward to seeing and hearing them being used in your lesson. Good luck, and I will see you soon. Bye.